KHAZARIAN Mafia seeks Chinese protection as military tribunals loom. The Satan-worshipping KHAZARIAN Mafia is in a frenzy of fear as military tribunals loom. As a result, they're offering the world, as if it were theirs to give, to China in exchange for protection, according to Gnostic Illuminati and Asian secret society sources. In addition to this, they are threatening to unleash pandemics, blow up the Yellowstone caldera, set off a massive EMP attack, and cause other mayhem in food-tie efforts to blackmail themselves out of the reach of long-delayed justice. Also, they are carrying out a foolish and widely derided smear campaign to derail the appointment of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. Pentagon sources say they use the threat of 11 September declassification, which may soon happen, to force George Bush to publicly back Kavanaugh, whose confirmation would unleash military tribunals. Remember, Kavanaugh said during his confirmation hearings that the U.S. has been under martial law since shortly after 11 September, and as a result, military tribunals could try and even sentence to death civilians guilty of treason. In addition to this, the sources say that because of the interference in the 2016 U.S. election by the Jewish Mafia, which supported Hillary Clinton, Trump may use visa declassification leverage to force the UK and Australia to purge Zionists and Israeli dual citizens from positions of influence. The Raj States of Israel, for its part, has been trying to seek Russian and Chinese protection as it loses control of the United States. However, this is backfiring big time. Here's the U.S. military analysis of where these efforts are leading. First, in reaction to a recent Israeli stunt to fool Syria into shooting down a Russian plane in yet another desperate attempt to start World War III, an angry Russian President Vladimir Putin and the Russian Orthodox Church may have declared holy war on the anti-Goy Jewish faction and may impose a no-fly zone on Israel until it returns the Golan to Syria, lifts the siege of Gaza, denuclearizes, and returns the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and all stolen lands to Palestine and Lebanon. Second, with China in control of the health, port, and infrastructure projects in Israel, the BRICS nation may ban this Raj state from quantum financial system, and U.S. President Donald Trump may just agree to UN arms embargo and airsea blockage. With all this and more going on, it is no surprise that the Swiss branch of Rothschild family, the BIST, the elders of Zion, sent a representative last week to Japan to negotiate surrender with the White Dragon Society. The negotiator said the banking families will worry about the chaotic situation, mass executions, civil war, and other unrest such as was seen during the French and Russian revolutions. In other words, the BIS man said the banking families are willing to surrender as long as plans for a smooth transition to a better system of planet are put into place and guillotines are not on the menu. It is also possible to confirm from recent public statements by BIS that they acknowledge their current system of printing money out of nothing and distributing it via connected insiders is becoming dysfunctional and headed for a catastrophic collapse. Put it in the BIS's own word, their head is on fire and the feet freezing. This can be translated into mean that the super rich are getting too super rich, while the rest of the world's population is suffering. The White Dragon Society reiterated its opposition that a jubilee is the only answer. In particular, a global financial reset would need to include a one-time write-off of all debt, public and private, and a redistribution of access illegally obtained through that fiat finance. The end result would be to ensure that everyone on Earth owned their own home and had no debt. This would be a one-off event, so that after the Jubilee, if somebody were to sell their home to buy drugs and then end up homeless, they would not be bailed out. The White Dragon Society also proposed setting up a future planning agency to help coordinate a multi-trillion-dollar campaign to end poverty, stop environmental destruction, and responsibly release suppressed technology, in particular, technology that would make immortality possible for who wish it. The White Dragon Society further said it supports keeping existing royal families in place as symbols of continuity, while day-to-day management would be left to meritocracies such as the Pentagon, the Vatican, the Chinese Communist Party, the newly created Future Planning Agency, and etc. In other words, all the functional bits of the old system would be left intact and reformed in the name of continuity and a smooth transition. Live, real-time, internet-based democracy would also be supported, the White Dragon proposes. The whole process would be started with the public disclosure of the real history of the planet to prepare the public for the transitions, the White Dragon Society said. The BIS representative was supportive of these proposals and promised to take them to the people in Zurich, Switzerland. He also provided some insight into the minds of the Gnome of Zurich, noting they communicate using mathematical symbols. The NSA now believes Evelyn the Rothschild is the head of the Rothschild clan and not Nathan Neal, as was previously told to us by the CIA. They also say the latest intelligence indicates the Rothschild are planning to offer control of Japan to the Chinese in exchange for protection. This process would begin with the enthronement in April of Crown Prince Naruhito as Emperor of Japan, since it would put the throne into the hands of a Rothschild puppet with no imperial blood, the NSA sources say. The White Dragon Society and representatives of an Asian secret society discussed this issue recently and agreed that the Japanese people need to be told the truth about their imperial family, and that a committee of experts should decide in concert with the Japanese public what to do about the chrysanthemum throne. The Vatican P2 Lodge has also made a public appeasement of China. This came in the form of Vatican agreeing to give the Chinese government a say over the selection of Catholic bishops in China. It also came in the form of Italy's government being the first in the G7 to announce that they would participate in the China-led One Belt, One Road development project. It is also worth remembering at this point about a couple of tweets put out in 1960 by a Baroness de Rothschild. Unfortunately, the deplorables in 2017, impeachment will rob you of your little Russian-hacked election victory. After a Trump, Putin, Iran, China, and North Korea nuclear war, the world will revert back to the globalist ideal of offering security via Europe. Clearly, the Rothschild and other P2 types are running to China for protection now that the World War III and Russiagate scams are falling. However, the Chinese are fully aware that KHAZARIan will tell them whatever they want to hear, only to stab them in the back the first chance they get. They also know the same people who are sucking up to them now are the ones who humiliated them during the Opium Wars. As we saw above, the Chinese have quietly seized Israel infrastructure and are cooperating with the Russians and the US military to force the Zionists to end all their troublemaking. The KHAZARIans are also losing one of their last bastions of power, control of the major internet companies. We would like to conclude this week's report by forwarding you to an email from a veteran criminal investigator who is a friend of a former CIA operative, Robert David Still. Among other things, this investigator makes it clear why the KHAZARIan mob is delaying Kavanaugh's appointment. The reason the left cable is trying to delay the examination of Kavanaugh's accuser is to give them time to cause a massive blackout out east using the smart grid and their subnet-derived software provided by Israel and now in all power companies' computers, or until they can provoke a major war in Syria and Iran, and perhaps even a nuclear exchange with Russia Federation. I may be wrong on all this, but the mainstream media editors will quickly switch sides and go with who they think is the new winner, since their prior masters have been adequately disempowered. They have no loyalty to anyone, but are ass-kissers to big money and big power. By the way, I know quite a bit of the hidden secret history of the Minnesota Wetterling murder and Johnny Gosch kidnapping. It's all relating to the CIA, FBI, International Pedal Satanic Network, Brofmans, GHWB, White House Page Boys, Barney Frank, Greg Spencer, and etc. It's a story of FBI involvement, the victim family involvement in a complete cover-up. It has ties to Obama, Franklin Credit, crooked FBI, CIA offenders, Jordan, Minnesota's pedo program, and Minnesota Attorney General Skip Humphrey. We interviewed a key witness together in this years ago.